Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we will be looking at some comments from Lucy, where she says that she left Jay with his two best friends. And we are going to take a look at a voice recording which happened at the start of this case regarding the stolen watch and Lucy's apartment being searched. Also, Jay's mom still had a lot of questions that Brad and Lucy could have answered. So the first thing we are going to look at in today's video is a comment from Lucy, where she says that she left Jay with his two best friends. This comment is very questionable because Lucy says that she left Jay with his two best friends, and I'm guessing she's on about Brad and Brandon. But I think the best friend term has been used a lot throughout this case, and it's like they have used this to make it seem like they were the closest people to Jay. So when did Brandon become Jay's best friend? Because if you look at Jay's social media posts, you don't see Brandon or Lucy in them except from the last couple of years. On Jay's Facebook, you can see all the pictures of him with his group of friends, but Brandon, Lucy, and even Brad aren't seen in any of them. But that's not the main point I want to make. I want to talk about Lucy leaving with Brandon, because this makes the comment that she wrote a complete lie. Ayub said that Lucy and Brandon left together. So how did Lucy leave Jay with his two best mates if she left with one of them? It makes no sense. She is adamant that she left alone, and it was the first statement that she made. But since then, we have found out that she didn't leave on her own. She just lied because something happened, or because she didn't want to involve Brandon's name in anything, which is also very suspicious. The way Lucy says that she left Jay with his two best mates makes it sound like it is their problem and she did nothing wrong, even though she had his location sent to her. But I'm still wondering why Jay's last phone call was with Lucy. Why did Lucy have to be the last person he spoke with? And why did he choose to speak to her over Brad or Brandon, who are apparently his two best mates? This comment proves that someone is lying. Either Lucy lied and she didn't leave Jay with Brandon, or Ayub has lied about Lucy and Brandon leaving together. But they both can't be true. Someone has lied. It looks like most of the mistakes that were made were because Brandon didn't want to be mentioned, and that is very worrying. The next thing we are going to look at is a voice recording where someone talks about the stolen watch and Lucy's apartment getting searched.
That was that a watch was taken from someone who was heavily drunk, who was taken advantage of, and I think that after, by the sounds of it, he's got himself a little bit scared when he's worked out that that person wasn't just a nobody out there.
Right, yeah.
Okay, but can I ask, have you ever had a Rolex watch or an AP?
Yeah, it wasn't a Rolex, just to clarify that. That was that.
So in the first part of the recording, this person talks about a watch being taken off someone who was extremely drunk, and apparently this person was someone who is important and wasn't just a nobody. Also, this person says that the watch wasn't a Rolex. So after hearing Jay's friend Saul say to Rocky that he knows for a fact that Ayub and Rocky took a watch off someone and that they told Jay to come to the Airbnb, it makes me think about why a watch would have been stolen in the first place. Remember, Saul is one of Jay's close friends and was in Tenerife searching for him. So for Saul to say this, you have to believe him to a certain degree, and he might know something that we don't. But why did Ayub and Rocky decide to take a watch? Did they take advantage of a drunk man who couldn't defend himself and thought they could make some money quickly? Because the more I think of it, I just don't believe that Jay would have been the person who stole a watch. But he might have been present when this watch was taken, which led to him leaving with Ayub and Rocky. Could Jay have been worried about this watch? And maybe they all found out that this watch belonged to someone who could be dangerous, and that's why he wanted to leave the Airbnb and get away from Ayub and whoever else was actually there. But if the recent document that was released is true, then that places Lucy at the Airbnb with them all. So how did Jay end up wanting to leave on his own?
Because the roommate of Lucy's, she had to be there present when that apartment was searched. Her, Lucy, and the landlord as well, whilst the police and whichever other authority it was that was there to search that apartment. And again, because the information that I was told was that they believed that he was there hiding. And as it stands out, it clearly wasn't. He's been reported seen in quite a few different places.
Even now, it passed what during the searching? He's been seen.
Again, I only spoke to my cousin, not yesterday, the day before, obviously, and he said again, it's all talk amongst workers that he's been spotted in quite a few different places.
And you would say
that must hold some truth to it, because the news reports today are all talking.
In the second part of this recording, you hear that Lucy's apartment was searched because the police thought Jay was hiding there. This is something that hasn't been spoke about by anyone involved, and I haven't really heard of Lucy's apartment being searched because they thought Jay was there, and it wasn't reported. But there is one question I want to ask. Who was Lucy's roommate? Because it sounds like it was a girl, but she was only seen in videos with Brad, Brandon, and Jay. I didn't hear about anyone else who was with them. So, did Lucy have a roommate while she was in Tenerife? And who is it? Because if she did, then that flew under the radar and we don't know much about this. In this recording, it also says that the landlord had to be there while they searched the apartment. So another question I have is, was Lucy staying at a family's place, or did she rent somewhere? Because there has been some talk about where Lucy stayed and that it was actually at a relative's place, as her family owned property out in Spain. The last thing I want to speak about in today's video is why Brad and Lucy didn't answer some of Debbie's questions. Either they didn't want to, or they didn't actually have the answers to them. But I find that hard to believe.
Things that Mark Williams Thomas said, and obviously went out there and then tried to investigate, is that when Jay left that house, he was in fear for his own safety. Do you think that is correct?
I don't know. I mean, that thought crossed my mind, to begin with. I thought, well, Jay would not let his phone run down. If he had access to a phone charger, that would be the first thing that he would do. So that made me think, well, why did he not want to be there? Why did he not want to hang about to charge his phone? If he looked at his battery and it were obviously less than 10%, 5%, whatever, that just goes through my mind. And like his friends, like back here, have said, why did he not?
So Debbie is asked about what Mark Williams Thomas said, where he talked about Jay leaving the Airbnb in a rush because he was scared. Debbie's asked what she thinks about this, and responds by saying that she doesn't know. I personally think if Jay was scared or something happened at the Airbnb, and he did actually call Brad at 8:30 a.m., then he would have told Brad exactly why he left, especially if he was scared. So my personal opinion is that Brad knows the answer to this question. Jay would have told him why he left the Airbnb and if he was scared or not. So why does Debbie still look confused about the situation? Surely if Brad knew the answer, he could just tell Debbie that Jay wasn't scared at all and that they were joking around, which is what he says happened, but Debbie is still saying that she doesn't know. The first question that Brad would have asked Jay is, why did he leave the Airbnb? And Jay would have told him. So these questions that Debbie wanted the answers to could have been answered by Brad and Lucy, because Lucy apparently spoke to him as well. So at least one of them know why Jay left the Airbnb and if he was scared. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and we will update you as we find out more.